What's going on, people? It's your boy Mikey from Tech and Business Podcast. Got a special person right here. First time interview, doing live because I wanted the people to see the live, first of all. And second of all, I think it's going to be a live video perspectives, maybe change your life around. So I want to give a round of applause to this gentleman right here who's a homie of mine. We've been through a lot together for the short amount of time that we've known each other. Cody Short, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. Just really hoping to get my word out there, man, and help some people in ways that I was helped, but I had a little less guidance.
Right.
So
Definitely,
about,
bro. Let's I guess let's start in a short summary. Let everyone know pretty much who you are, where you're from, where you're at now, and pretty much what you do.
Cool. Yeah. So Cody Short. I, as many of you know, I went to Lebanon High School, from Lebanon, born and raised in Lebanon, and then about just shy of a year ago, I moved down to New Orleans. Been down here just working on my poetry, and newly and exciting, I'm expecting a little girl in less than 2.5 weeks, so she'll be here very soon.
Man, congrats. That's what's up.
Thank you.
Definitely,
we're excited,
bro. So what do you tell the people, like, pretty much what you do? I mean, as far as, like, 9 to 5 if you want, your hobbies.
Yeah. So I used to work for Verizon for a long time. Now I sell apartments. It's a lot easier, a lot slower. You don't have people yelling at you all the time, fixing their phone. See some weird stuff in people's phones, man. You don't have that anymore. But yeah, no, I just sell apartments. It's a huge market down here because apartments are a dime a dozen. 15 minutes from the Superdome and 20 minutes from Bourbon Street. Everyone wants an apartment. So
Crazy.
it's a good little niche. I just hit the gym, write poetry, and as of lately, I've been in full dad mode, man. Getting the nursery ready. Dude, just baby-proofing the apartment, getting the nursery set up, putting the crib together.
Getting ready.
So everything's good to go. That's all I do, man. Just dad mode, gym, poetry.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
24/7.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start with the poetry part because I know we're going to talk about different topics, but I want to start on the poetry part because I know that's a big thing that's going on right now in your life. And I want to begin just pretty much what inspired you to start writing. Did you have a poetic background in your family? Like, pretty much how you got started in it.
All right, cool. So really, I got started, I think I was in 7th grade, Miss Surgery's class. If you remember Miss Surgery. Now Miss Bullock. So I started out in there, and I was just, humble brag, I was just a little bit above everybody else, just mine just was on a different level, but I never pursued it because I kind of got made fun of, because in school, poetry and being poetic is not it's not masculine. It's not the cool thing to do. And growing up when we did, like, you just like football, basketball, stuff like that. So poetry was just kind of swept under the rug. And then in high school, same thing. You would write it to get the girls. You do it just for that appeal. But then it stops there. Like, you don't talk about it with your friends because it's not cool. And then I started just writing them, and I had a whole catalog. I had like 60, 70, 80 poems, and I was like, man, they're not bad. And I was sharing them with people, and they weren't bad. So I condensed them into, like, I believe it was 68 poems, and I put a book out, and most of them were love poems, sweet stuff, heartbreak poems. And it's just where I was in my life at that time. I was really deep into my feelings on a love aspect. So I was writing a lot about relationships and stuff like that. And so then I put the book out, and it did really well. I sold like 1,500, 2,000 copies. So just with I didn't sign to nobody. It was self-published. I put it together myself. So I was pretty proud of that. And then I still had bounds and bounds of ways to grow, but so I gave it up for a little bit. And when I moved down here, man, that's when things really took off for me, because I didn't have that distraction. So when you're stuck inside your head, and you're dealing with your own emotions, you have a distraction. So I would go to my mom's house. I would go grab a drink with my
Right.
brother, kick it with my friends. But when you're in a town where you don't know anyone, you don't have that. So you're forced to look at yourself in the mirror and deal with those problems that you're having. And the way I did it was I would get really drunk and I would write poems. And, you know, some of the times I would wake up and I'd look at my notes and I'd be like,
Right.
it's actually pretty good. Like, did I write that? So, you know, I was noticing a pattern. I steered away from love and hardships because love is a very natural thing. Everyone
Yeah.
feels love. Everyone can express love without feeling, what's the word? Without feeling
Right.
embarrassed by it. But when you start talking about mental health issues, you know, depression and anxiety is probably the biggest one, and suicide. Although being able to talk about that is on
Right.
the rise, people still kind of raise their eyebrows at people that are very open about it. A lot of people say, "Oh, you do
For
that for
sure.
attention," but that's not what it is anymore, man. You know, the reason I'm sitting on about 20 spoken word poems right now that all talk about like self-harming and self-awareness within mental health
Right.
and anxieties and just not knowing how to handle it or handling it in the worst way. I'm sitting on so many poems. And like I said, people will say that it's for attention, but for me, man, it's so much more than that. If I feel that way, I know 100 or more
Right.
people feel
Right.
that way. So if I can put it into words that other people just can't find or put it into an art that other people can understand, some people just won't
Yeah.
feel alone because I know what it feels like to feel alone. Fun fact, one of my favorite movies, did you ever see it?
What's that? Sorry.
A
Stars
Star is
Born.
Born.
Nah. Nah.
Bradley Cooper film. Great,
Okay.
great movie. That's what kind of part of it inspires the poem that's coming out on Apple Music. But it's a great movie, and it's very raw in its emotions. It wants you to feel a certain emotion throughout the movie, and you feel it, and you feel it at the end. You really feel it, and
Crazy.
that's it's kind of how my poetry is, man. It makes you feel what that character feels, and in my sense, you'll feel what I felt, but then you also be able to
For
portray
sure.
it into
For
your own
sure. I
life.
like that.
So that's the progression through how it got started, you know, trying to keep it under wraps because it wasn't
Right.
cool. And now I'm trying
Right.
to advocate for people that don't have a voice for
I dig that,
themselves.
bro. And like, so for me, right, I write songs and whatnot, and you know, I've done poems as
Hmm.
well. How difficult, and do you, following up this question, how difficult is it to write poetry? And do you believe in like writer's block? And if you do, how do you, for you, how do you block that writer's block, you know, and having to just, you know, surpass that hurdle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So I find it incredibly hard and at the same time insanely easy
Right.
to write. It just depends on how dark of a
Mm,
place can I go mentally to be able to write down. Because I can't, if you sat here and said, hey man, write about this, I might be able to just to write as good as the next guy. But if I'm feeling inside what's going on, like if I'm
whole
having that
different ballgame.
anxiety, I'll put it into words. It's a whole different ballgame, man. You start to really, it's like a puzzle. Everything just kind of
Yeah,
falls together as you start lining it out. I have to be able to feel it in order to write about it. Because to me, if I start making it up, it's not as authentic and then it's not as real. So it's incredibly hard, but at the same time easy. And then to this is kind of the process, and it's weird. It's almost sinister the way it goes. You know, when I want to write, I will make myself sad and I'll take
I
myself to
like
that
that.
dark place. And it's you got to be mentally sound to do that because you have to be able to recover
For
from it at the
sure.
same time, or else it's very toxic and it's very unhealthy. And I battled with that for a long
Right.
time, and then I realized that, there's a way to get out and there's a way to do this healthy. And I'm still coming to grips with it, but it's getting a lot easier. So, when I'm when I want to take myself to that place, I will read old messages that take me there, or one that hits home for me was when my
Mm,
grandmother passed away or my friend passed away right before her. I'll take myself to where I was at that time, and even sometimes reenacting old behaviors. Like I'll drink a little bit, just to get that feeling of remembrance going of what I was going through when those sad times were
right.
happening, and then I just take myself to that place. So it's not just mental, it's also physical, and trying to reenact where I was when I was in those dark times. And like I said, it's really
Right.
hard to snap yourself out of it without a plan. So you have to be able to have a good support system to get you out of it. You have to be mentally sound to get you out of it. But
I dig that.
I don't like to take myself to that dark place, but I keep remembering that it's not it's not
Right.
about me. I'm writing these words, but it's about who I can help when they hear these poems, because like I said, mental health is a rare thing to talk about. So hearing someone talk about
Yeah.
their struggles will just help you feel not alone. And when you feel not alone, the world is
Yes.
it is not
Right.
so lonely,
You feel a lot
it's
better.
right there. It's a good feeling to know that this strange feeling that you feel, other people feel
Right.
it too. So it makes you feel connected in ways that aren't supposed to be connected. So
I
it's a good
definitely
feeling.
dig that. And so you talked about the process, pretty much like the development of writing your poems. Um, is there a
Mhm.
certain day or like a certain time that you're like, all right, it's nighttime, I feel good. Especially, is there a certain time, a certain hour that you
Yeah.
like write the best?
Yeah, man, it's nighttime. I don't There's just something eerie there. For most people, darkness is
Yeah.
scary, it's eerie, it's the monsters come out at night, but for me it's very calming. It's very I just feel very comforted in the darkness, and that's when I write the best. I'll pour myself some Vlad vodka and
Right.
some Red Bull, sit it next to me. I write on my phone. I don't use a tablet. It takes too long. The
You're
ideas are going
flowing. Yeah.
crazy up there, so it's easier to type fast. Yeah, so I'll um I'll just get my phone out, turn the lights out, sit there, and I'll just go to town, and I'll write out different topics of, okay, well, anxiety, depression. Okay, well, what goes with anxiety? And you'll start like racing thoughts and this, and then depression, feeling down, darkness, sad, and you get those keywords, and
Right.
I implement them into the poem, and then I just go off of it. But the writing styles changed over the years, because
Okay.
before it was you didn't have to rhyme so much when you write poetry that's to be read, and book poetry, because it's meant to be as a metaphor and as a simile. But when you're doing spoken word poetry, it's almost like you're
Mm-hmm.
writing songs. It's not meant to be sung, though, and it's not really meant to have like a melody to it, but it does have to have a flow, and you still have to hit those pockets.
Right.
And you go fast, you go slow. So it's the writing style has changed, and I'm still trying to grasp that. I've been working with someone on that, and
Just helping you out.
he's been killer, helping me out through that. Yeah, yeah, he's been real good, just guiding me through it as I find myself
Right.
as an artist in the spoken word. I found myself as an artist in poetry. Now I have to find myself as an artist in delivering it, and that's what we're working
Right.
on, because I'm about to record here in less than a
That's
month,
exciting,
so
bro. That's
it's coming
exciting.
up. Yeah,
So
yeah.
speaking of that, speaking of the help that you got, or that you're getting, all the help, do you show like your work in progress to anyone like beforehand? Like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, do you do that at all? Do you just keep it to yourself and just like
Oh no. I feel like I get too attached to my
Okay.
projects, so I know exactly what I was feeling, and I know exactly where I wanted to take it, and I know how I felt when I listened back. But as I said, it's not about me. It's not about how
Right.
I feel. It's about who I can help, and how they feel. So I will share it with I call my team, and I'll share it with them, and I'll get feedback, and I want them to be
Yeah.
hard on me, because this is going out to people I don't know. This is, the president of the United States could
Right.
hear it for all I know. I don't, so
Exactly.
anyone can hear it. So I want them to be as hard on me, because when they're hard on me, it just
Do
pushes
better.
me to do better. And one of my friends, I had an ending, and the ending, spoiler alert for the poem that's coming out. So the ending it's a sad poem, sad poem, sad poem, decent ending to like, uplift your spirits. And he gave me some advice. He was like, you made me feel sad through this entire poem. Make me feel sad
There we
during
go.
the end. So I didn't make you just feel sad during the end. I destroyed your
Right,
feelings
right,
in the
right,
end.
right.
So you don't get a chance for that hope. You don't get a chance to really, come to terms with how you feel, but you do get to feel like you're not alone.
Sure.
And then the ending is just the artistic expression to really drive it home.
I
So
definitely dig that.
yeah.
So
Yep.
you talked about, you're gonna become father and stuff. Congrats again. Um,
Thank you.
Obviously that's gonna play a big part in your writing and the time. So as of right now, though, because obviously you don't have the kid around right now, but as of right now, how do you
Yeah. Yeah.
manage to fit writing, with other demands like your job or any hobbies?
Oh,
How
for
do you
sure.
manage to do that?
I knew
Yeah,
that
yeah.
question was coming. Yeah, dude, that's something I've been battling because, I fear every day that I write and I'm like, can you take yourself to this dark place, but also be content if the baby needs you? And I think that the baby will
Yeah,
triumph everything. Ariana will always come first. It doesn't matter how dark of a place I am, because honestly, just knowing that she's coming has lifted me out of those dark places
for
more times
sure.
than not. So she's what's been that rock on transitioning myself out of that as I put myself in it. I have to find new ways to take myself to that place because, like I said, I would drink to kind of physically remember how I felt when I was hurting in those times. And that's not something that I want to do as her
Right.
father because I want to, if an emergency happens, I want to be locked, loaded, and ready to go without any kind of impairment judges. So I've been working on different ways and succeeding in taking myself mentally in a place where I can write about those dark,
Mm.
sad, emotional, depressing things without impairing anything that would cause me to not care for her in a way that she needs to be cared. So
Number one.
she's gonna
Yeah,
be, yeah,
yeah.
she's number one, and like I said, she's been the most important thing that gets me out of those
Right.
places when it's been tough. So it's,
Uh,
yeah, not a question.
First
She's
and
gonna come
everything, man. I
first, and
like that. I dig
you
that.
know,
And I respect
yep,
that. You know what I mean? As a
absolutely,
father, I respect that because, like, sometimes we have so many things going on in our life, and it's like,
yep,
I got kids. You know what I mean? Like that comes first. Besides, work
yeah,
and all that
yeah,
stuff. Obviously, we got to provide, but at the same time, it's like we got kids. We
hmm,
got to put them first over everything. You know what I mean? So I definitely
oh,
feel
for
that.
sure.
So any books right now that you're like reading right now, any authors that are kind of catching your eye like at the moment?
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of Jane Austen stuff, but also
William
William
Yates. Okay.
Yeats. I studied William Yeats back in college when I was at Albright. The professor wasn't too
Yeah.
awesome, but the content that we were studying was really great. So I'd like to read up on different poets to see how they tell their stories and how it can translate but be different within my
For
own
sure.
writing. So I do that. I find a lot of inspiration from them, but I also find a lot of inspiration from people that make music, but they don't talk about like the fame, the money, the
Right.
girls. Like for example,
Yeah.
Lil Peep. Couldn't stand him, never listened to him, thought it was really stupid, but I was judging the book by its cover. I saw the weird daddy
Tattoos. Yeah.
tattoo, the pink hair, the grills, and I was
Who's
like,
this dude? Yeah.
not for me. And then I heard one of his songs, and I was like, wow, he's rapping about
Yeah.
suicide. I
Come
I felt
resonated with you.
connected to him because he was talking about something that I could not. So I also find inspiration. Like wow, I'm so impressed that these people are using their platforms to talk about like Mac Miller on
Yeah.
the last album before he passed away. It was all like he has the album Self Care, and like I said, the one before he passed away, it's all about depression, anxiety, and how he dealt with those and stuff like that. So I'm
Right.
very impressed with the new era of music that's coming out for the most part, as far as like being able to talk about mental health and what's really going on. Because like I said, man, it's really hard to talk about, and society hasn't fully evolved into a place where it's accepted to
Yeah.
talk about, but it's getting there. It
Little by
really
little,
is.
it's getting there. Yeah. And
Yep.
since we're talking about, depression, um, I wanted to, before I continue with the questions, I want to say everybody who's watching right now, write down some questions, because we'll be answering. Well, he'll be answering any questions that you guys have. Write them down right now, so that way at the end I can go throughout the questions, and then he'll be able to answer them for you. Um, but again, since we're talking about depression, and we're talking about hard times, which is something that you're, kind of
Yeah.
in the mood in right now. Um, you
Sure.
got a book or a spoken word coming out right now. Let the people know about that.
Hmm.
What's that going to be about, and pretty much anything that you can give us right now on it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's called Too Far Gone. It's just a single, about 2 minutes, 15 seconds long, and it's about that journey in your mind when you're sad and you're depressed and your anxiety's at a high and you're really struggling. And within within the poem, you see the progression. I'm
Yeah,
trying to give a little
too
bit
much.
without
Okay.
giving too much. You see the progression in my mind where I was battling with some demons, and throughout the poem you come to the conclusion where, all right, towards the end he realizes what he's doing, like he realizes where he is, and it's not a
Right.
good place. You know, one of the lines in this marathon of life, the demons have caught me, and the devil, he's been invested with the
Mm,
pills that he's brought me. And I gave in to temptation, and I took them with booze, in which I choose to lose. The clues were there, but who's to blame?
mm,
Me.
I like that.
So that self awareness is there. Little
Yeah, a little
snippet,
something.
little something to look
I
forward
like that.
to. But the self awareness is there, and it progresses throughout. Like, I realize that this isn't me. I'm not using my brain, and then the ending comes, and it's a whole different ball game. And I
Right.
can't I can't give anyway
Don't
I
get
can't
me.
give anything away from the ending because like I said, I rewrote it, and the only thing I can tell you is the poem is sad, it's sad, it's sad, and then
Mm,
it's sad.
sad, sad, sad.
So
Right.
there's not, yeah, yeah, man. But like I said, people will be able to resonate with that because now more than ever, we'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't say
Right.
everyone has
Right.
anxiety. We're all anxious about something or one thing or another. Um, so when you can see someone or hear someone talk
Right.
about their anxieties and you put an imagery to it, it's different. It sits with you. And like I said, when I watched that movie, man, it really sat with me. And I watched it over and over and over and over because I felt connected to it. I felt like I
Right.
wasn't alone. So I feel like on my platform with my writing, because like I said, I've passed it out to my team. Everyone really, really enjoys it. And a lot of people are like, man, that made me cry, or it almost made me cry.
Amazing.
And so I feel like if I can connect with people like that, then they will feel the same kind of
Mm-hmm.
reassurance that I felt, like it's okay to feel like this because you're not alone.
I like
So
that. Quick little
that's
summary. Quick little
yeah,
summary of
dude. Yeah.
spoken word.
You got it, man. That's
Word.
that's what it is.
I wanna touch on a topic, or not on the topic, on a
Yep.
person that you were very close to. Us people, us who lived in Lebanon, we went to school with him. I personally knew him. He was just a humble individual, and that's Ramesh Prasad. We know you were very close to him.
Yep.
I want you to just take a few minutes and pretty much talk about the relationship you had with him, the effect his death had, and just give some detail on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Uh I met Ramesh, man, when we were probably 6. He would have been 7. I
Mm,
was 6. And we met in Lebanon Rec Youth Soccer, and from then on, he's been a part of my life. We grew up playing
right.
soccer together every year. all throughout high school, middle school, and we got real close. Sleepovers, playing basketball in his alleyway, right off of is that 7th Street there? Yeah, 7th Street. We just got really close as kids, and when we graduated, I went off to college. I did my thing. He went off and did his thing, and then that fall he had come over with a mutual friend of ours. A mutual friend was like, "Hey, Ramesh is with me." I was like, "Dude, I haven't seen him in
Right,
forever.
right.
Bring him over." So we hung out, and from then, man, I don't think there was a day that we didn't hang out in the evenings. So I would go over to my girlfriend's house. I would come back, and he would be chilling on my front porch just waiting. We'd go to the gym, and if anyone knows Ramesh, he like was the
Yeah.
skinniest, just non-muscular kid. So we would be at the gym, and he'd do like 4 dips, and he'd be like,
Showing off his
"Yeah,
guns.
look at
Yeah.
these muscles." Yeah, it just he was just that kind of guy, man. He was a good dude. So he had stopped by my place of employment the day it happened, and we had lunch together. And then after that, I didn't hear
Mm,
anything from him. So that's something that really hits home with me. And on the album or the EP that I'm going to be putting out, there's a poem about that in
mm.
there. So that one really hits everybody hard because 9 times out of 10, everyone has a friend, a family member, and someone close to them that
Mm.
they've lost. So a lot of
Man,
people can relate to that.
crazy. So there's a lot of people that struggle with, like you mentioned, anxiety, depression. Before we and again, anybody that has questions, make sure to comment down. Got 2 more questions, but anybody who has questions, comment down and write them down so that he can answer them. But the last 2 questions are: a lot of people deal with depression on a daily basis, anxiety. Some people want to commit suicide. What do you want to say to them right now, or someone who right now watching us and they're struggling through something in their life?
Yeah, to those people that think that that's the way out, it's not, because it gets better. I've been there. It's just not the way. You're not alone. When you're in that place of suicide and wanting to kill yourself, your mind and your anxiety, it takes over you and makes you feel like you are alone and you're this terrible person that just doesn't have any worth. And it's not the case. You know, it's it's a bad day. It's not a
Right.
bad life. And that's one of the things. That's another little thing from one of my poems is, it's just a bad day and things will get better. And it might be your only option at
Right.
that time. Give yourself more time because things change in a heartbeat. Things change really quickly. What I've noticed through the progression of when you're in that zone is you don't get to that place
Right.
just slowly. You are sad slowly and you're depressed slowly, but you get to that place of wanting to take your own life at a very quick rate. It's very impulsive. Give yourself time to make the right decision. Hold off. Talk to somebody. Listen to my poems. Hopefully, listen to someone else. There's another guy out there that does this kind of stuff. His name's
Okay.
Clayton Jennings, and I listen to him. He's a very, very good spoken word poet, and he talks about the same kind of
Right.
stuff. So there's always an alternative. So
I like that.
yeah, it's just not the way. Give
I like
yourself
that.
more time.
All right, and last question. If nobody has any questions tonight, there's a lot of people who might want to get into poetry and to writing, and obviously it's a real stressful. Writing is just stressful in general, right? Any
Yeah, yeah,
advice, any
yeah.
tips on those who want to start writing, who want to just do poetry, maybe?
Don't be ashamed of whatever you're writing about, and don't feel that you're incompetent to other people because what might not make sense to A makes sense to
Mm,
B through Z. So just because one person isn't really feeling it doesn't mean you're not affecting 100 other people. So write, put yourself out there. The best thing about writing is you can do whatever you want. You can write about anything in any style. and somebody will accept it. Somebody will hear you out. Somebody will listen. And that's what we want in life. We just want people to
That's
listen
right.
to us. So just write and put it out there. There's so many blogs and websites that you can just put out there where some dude in Wyoming or some 19-year-old in Alaska will read it because they don't have anything better to do, but they might become encaptured within whatever you have to say, and it might affect them. And then from there, you could change somebody's life. So that's what I have. If you have something to say and it means to say it, and don't do it quietly.
I
Say
like
it
that.
loud.
I like that. So before we end this podcast episode live video, tell people where they can find you on social media, whether it's like your personal page or your, I guess your poet name. I'll let people know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook's Cody Short, obviously. Instagram is Cody Allen, CODEYALLEN, and then from there I will be posting the links to like Apple
Okay.
Music and Spotify. My Apple Music name is I'm gonna go by Cody Allen, so it'll be Cody Allen Poetry. Once I put that out, there'll be a YouTube page. Same thing, it'll be Cody Allen Poetry. So that's where you'll be able to find me. I would say by midsummer, the single will
Okay.
be out. I'm going to be recording it soon. It'll be out with a video. So it'll be the single, a video, and then it'll be
Perfect.
dropping.
Perfect. All right, you guys heard it. Make sure to follow him.
Cool.
Subscribe to his channel once it pops up. I'm gonna be doing another live video for those who are watching once everything gets wrapped up and it comes out, just so we can follow up with what Cody's doing. And also make sure to hit up Tech and Business Podcast. You guys can listen to on Anchor, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Tech and Business. Make sure to subscribe and favorite the station. And again, thank you, Cody, for just taking the time and just chatting it up, man. We appreciate you, man, for real.
Yeah, man.
All
Thanks
right,
for
man.
having
We'll
me.
catch you guys later.